Hey everybody, welcome. We have a special happy book birthday today from Dave Burgess Consulting Incorporated. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are just tuning in, make sure you let us know who you are. Throw your name over into the comment stream there, and tell us where you're from. And every comment that goes there is going to be entered in to win a book. You're going to be able to win a book tonight. And so we appreciate you joining us. We have two special guests. Special because, well, they're special just because they're great people, great educators, inspiring to all, but also special because today is the birthday of their book, and that is The Complete EdTech Coach. So Adam and Kat, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Maybe let us know what you do and where you're located.
Okay, well, I am Catherine, and this is Adam, and we are in Central California, and we are excited to be here. We have been thinking about this book for a long time. As EdTech coaches, there really wasn't a book for us when we first started, and so we learned a lot of things along the way, and so we basically wrote the book that we wish we had, and it's full of our stories, things that didn't work so well and that did work for us, and we're excited about the birthday. We got the confetti going and everything.
It's all over the place.
It looks fantastic. I love it. Yes, absolutely. And so now sometimes when we put out a book, we think to ourselves like, you know what? The timing could have been a little better on this, like this, or in this case, could there be better timing than to have a book for EdTech coaches than right now? It's a role that has it's always been important, right? But now there's just kind of this elevated status and need, and everybody's desperate to talk to their EdTech coach right now. And so maybe if you could talk to us about the timing of it, like how perfect it is right now with both the remote distance and blended learning situations that a lot of people are in.
Yeah, when we first wrote it, it was pre-COVID. We didn't, no one saw this coming, us included. So when we were COVID started, we were like, man, is this really going to be relevant now? I mean, no one's in school. How is this really going to work? And then, immediately we were never busier. I mean, teachers that used to avoid me like the plague now would never leave me alone. And, it was interesting. And then as we came back in August, getting ready for distance learning and hybrid stuff, people came back to school this year not afraid of the tech and wanting more. So I started thinking about it. I go, you know what, this might have been a blessing in disguise because people were forced to learn things that they never would have thought of trying to learn before. And as we go back to face-to-face and hybrid, I hear a lot of chatter is that they don't want to go back to the way they did it anymore. So the things that they learned, they want to continue to learn. And I think it's just going to bolster that need for EdTech coaches.
Yeah, that's a whole new skill set which our educators are getting, right? And kids who are used to learning in new ways as well. And now moving out of the pandemic, I think we're going to see some great opportunity for, taking the best of what we did before, but then also the best of what's happened since, and this new innovations and this new creativity, and creating something that's even more powerful as we move forward. And I was just on a podcast recently mentioning that whole idea that for ed tech coaches, in some cases, it's sort of like, hey, listen, I've been trying to tell you all that this was cool. This was great stuff for a long time. And you didn't want to talk to me. You didn't want to come to my professional development session, a year ago, but now you're knocking my door down. And so it's kind of interesting to see how important that has all become right now. And this book is perfect timing. Now, I have a question for you. In the subtitle, it talks about an organic approach to coaching. And maybe if you could kind of talk to us about what your thoughts are about that. What does that mean as far as having an organic approach? I know that's something that's very important to both of you.
Yeah, we really believe in making sure that everything is based on the context of where you work and who you serve. And so what works, best for the educators and students I serve might not be exactly the same as what works in Adam's context. And so we wrote the book with the idea that EdTech coaching is really about viewing your environment. So if something's grown organically, it's grown in the environment that it's in, right? And so we don't try to transplant something that doesn't have a similar environment. So grows it, we have to be as coaches looking around, finding out what's going to work best here in my particular environment. And then we have to make sure that not only are we always observing, but as it grows, we adjust. So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's not the same in each location, but it's meant to be a timeless approach that really is more personalized.
Yeah, and when we say organic, we're not trying to talk about healthier. We're talking about how, when things are not organic, there are these additives, these unnatural things added to something to help it grow. So when we say an organic approach, we don't want the tech strategy or the tool being forced upon them by a higher up. We want them to choose the tool, and if it comes from the teacher, from their context, that's what we mean by organic. It's not say, here, come to my after school PD and learn this completely out of context. It's the organic focuses on the context in which the strategy is being implemented.
Yeah, I love that whole idea that like it's not like, oh, hey, here's a cool tool. Let's try to find some way to like jam it into what we want to do in our classroom. It's more like, hey, what do we want to do in our classroom with kids? And let's find the right tool in order to be able to do that and to empower that sort of learning, right? And so it's the focus on the learning first as opposed to the tool.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really, we talk about lead with learning, never with tech, right? Yeah. Because we talk about EdTech coaches. You are not a PD delivery system. Your job is to be amongst those you serve, to find out what it is that their goals are, because then you'll be able to coach them toward the tool. Absolutely. So yeah, we never lead with tech.
Yeah, and so what are maybe your thoughts on as far as you're as an ed tech coach and you're working with a teacher who is maybe a little resistant to technology. They've had some bad experiences in the past. They feel overwhelmed. They feel like, oh, I can't keep up with all of this. And so what's kind of the starting point that you take with a teacher that maybe is struggling with the whole idea of all this new technology is just too much for me?
I'm glad you asked that, because that's a very popular session that we've done the last few years that we call connecting with tech hesitant teachers. We don't like to use the word resistant. We think it's too negative. We like hesitant. And yeah, there's always going to be that number of teachers that you work with that just they're turned off by it. That they're afraid of the technology. Like in a common phrase that our friend of ours, who we talk about in the book, Josh Harris, says, "Don't worry, you can't break the internet." So we try to put them at ease, and the way we do that is that we want to honor their experience. We come in with this tremendous skill set, and that can really put people off. They feel intimidated. So if we come in by saying, "Hey, how long have you been teaching? What has worked for you in the past?" and we start from that standpoint. I'm not going to go like, "Oh, well, you need to do this, this, and this. Here's what you got to learn." No, we want to start with their context, their experience, and honor those years of experience, and then find that way to kind of see what works best for them. So it's kind of like your book, Dave, like finding that hook. The hook is their experience, and that in our experience has been the best way of dealing with those tech hesitant teachers.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that idea, meeting them where they are, try to move them forward, and understand that not everyone is going to come into the session on the same page, and knowing how to take people from where they are and move them to where they want to be, not necessarily where they need to be, like where they want to go, and with their classroom, what they can do with their kids, which is awesome. Now, you mentioned a session for tech hesitant teachers, and I know that you two are featured speakers at a conference which is going on this weekend. And so maybe let us know where you're speaking and what do you got going on. Even tonight you have a session. So what's the big conference on the agenda for the weekend?
Yeah, so it's Fall Q here in California. Q is our ISTE, local ISTE affiliate, if you're familiar with ISTE, the International Society for Technology and Education. But yeah, Q is a great network. We talk a lot about our personal learning network in the book as well. And this is our network. And so we love to be back and speak with educators. This year, it's not just mostly California, Nevada. We've got, because it's virtual, so we've got educators from around the country. I think 1,200.
Something like that.
Yeah, and so we're going to, our first session at 8 p.m. is going to be about EdTech coaching from a distance. So how do we take this organic EdTech coaching and meet the needs of our those we serve organically from a distance? So I'm going to talk about that. We are also, Adam, as you had said, the tech hesitant teacher session. Mm-hmm. We're going to be holding that as well. we have some individual sessions
Yeah.
also. But one that's really important right now is our work-life fusion session. It's when you are an educator, it is so difficult to sometimes feel like you are, that you don't get overwhelmed with, okay, well, I'm doing my work over here and then I go home, but I still need to do my work. And so we talk about having that work-life fusion that complements each other. So that's something we'll be talking about.
A lot of people talk about a work-life balance. For us, it's got to be a fusion. When I went through my teacher ed program at Fresno Pacific University, they really hammered home the idea that this is a calling to redemptive service. It's a calling. This is not a job. So if you see your job, what you do as a calling, that means you're really passionate for it. Because as we talk about in the book, Work-Life Fusion, when we're at work, we are still our personal selves. I want to be honest. I have checked the scores of Manchester United and the Dodgers when they're playing when I'm at work. I'll admit that. I'm still a fan while I'm there. It's on my head. And when I'm at home, I'm still thinking about those students that just drove me nuts that day and how can I reach them? Or I'm at home and I'm watching TV and I think of a great idea for a lesson. So I don't really compartmentalize. I'm still myself at work. I'm still a teacher when I'm at home, and that's easier said than done. We're not saying that you should go as crazy as we have done it, but if you can think more of a fusion than a balance, we think that it's probably you're going to have a little bit more success.
Well, and if there's two people that can talk about work-life fusion, it would be you two.
Yeah.
And I'm in a similar situation here with DVC Inc. But so now I'm not asking for any crazy stories or anything, but just out of curiosity, writing a book with someone who not only is you work with and all that, but also a life partner can be an interesting thing. And so how did you find that process of writing together? Was it smooth, or did you run into some tensions? Or talk to us a little bit about that.
We found that, we really talk about this work-life fusion, but we found that to be at our home, like in our town we live, and write was distracting. And so we actually had some book writing getaways, and that seemed to help a lot. But I would say, we've been talking a lot about everything that's in the book. We've really been talking about it for years. And so it was, we kind of know what we're going to say before we write it. And so it wasn't very difficult. We know our stories and such. But I will say that I think writing the book helped us to understand a little bit more of our, what irritates us individually, when we need breaks, like we could catch that a little quicker than we had before. And so I think that's actually been, and that happens when you work with someone on a project, right?
I mean, there was a few times where she was real gung-ho about it than I wasn't, and then vice versa. And, so we had to deal with that. But a lot of what's in the book were just our conversations in the car. Before COVID, people who know us know that we were traveling all the time, presenting at conferences and driving wherever. And those conversations in the car, at the dinner table, that's what's in the book. And I like to think that makes it really organic. We didn't go do some actual research. This is our own experience, our own personal action research. And so I think that right there kind of made the process pretty smooth for the most part.
I think that really helps the readability of a book too. It makes it more conversational, makes it just feel much more authentic. And that's really one of the secrets of Teach Like a Pirate too, is people ask me about writing that book. And I always tell them, hey, I feel almost like I cheated because I had done the workshop so many times before the book. I basically sat down on a computer and typed out what I say, And so the book, it didn't seem like pulling teeth to write Teach Like a Pirate because I had done the workshop for like 5-6 years before I wrote it. And so now it's like, oh, okay. I remember I talk about this, talk about this. And the book just kind of fell into place. And I think that's kind of the experience that you two have too. You've done these workshops so often. You've been at these conferences. You've done the actual work of coaching with people and seen it. And so it's just taking all of your best stuff and your ideas and putting that puzzle together and pulling it together into a book. And I think you both did a fantastic job.
Thank you. And I see some people we should shout out to on Facebook here as well. We have Michael Drezick here.
Yeah, from Buffalo.
Alicia Ray, Ryan Reed. My mom is watching.
Oh,
I saw that last name pop up, and I was like, okay, this is some sort of relation here.
Yeah, and then Erica Cortez was called out. She's actually in the book.
That's
she
right.
talks about how EdTech coaching helped her as a principal, how it helped support her students and teachers. So
I think my mom right now is watching right now at my daughter's dance class.
oh, there's Michelle. You have coached Michelle. We both have. Yep.
She's in the book too as well. She's one of my old neighbor.
That's right.
She's watching.
Awesome. Fantastic.
So this is about real stories and real people.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying. So
Yep, absolutely. Well, so a couple of things. First of all, it's called The Complete EdTech Coach. It's up available on Amazon right now. You can get this book into your hands, and it's unbelievable. It's fantastic. The timing is perfect. So this is, never before have we needed EdTech coaches more than right now. And so if you can get this into your hands and the hands of EdTech coaches in your system, but I would go a step further, and I'll see if you two agree with me on this. Although it's called The Complete EdTech Coach, this would be good for any coach, anybody who's in a leadership position, anyone who's working with people. In fact, classroom teachers are coaches of their kids if they're doing it effectively. And I think there's some strategies in here that could be used no matter what it is that you're coaching, no matter what it is that you're teaching. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, we actually included in the beginning of the book, who is this book for? And we talk about how if you're an EdTech coach, this is how you're going to use this book. If you are an administrator, if you are a content coach, if you are an educator, a teacher in the classroom. So agreed. You might have a different lens in those roles, but definitely a book that everyone can benefit from.
Yeah, so like if you're an admin and you need to learn how to leverage your EdTech coach, how to talk to them, how to get the most out of them, read this book. If you're a teacher and you want to know how to have that conversation with your EdTech coach, read this book. There's something for everybody, and that was, we wanted to be very mindful about that when we were writing.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. We're proud to have it in the Daybers Consulting Inc. line. Again, if you put your name over here in the comments, you're entered to possibly win a book. But again, it's available right now. Adam and Kat pulled together an amazing book, The Complete EdTech Coach, brand new, the latest release from Daybers Consulting Incorporated. And the timing couldn't be better. They're speaking tonight at Fall Q and speaking again a couple times over this weekend. And we can't wait for you to get this book in your hands. We can't wait for you to read it. We can't wait most importantly, for you to implement these ideas and see how successful they will be when you're actually using them with real colleagues, real teachers, real kids in real classrooms, real schools. This is the authentic stuff. This, again, it's not just some theory that's going to sit on the shelf somewhere. This is the stories from the trenches, the stuff that really works. And that's why we're so proud to put it out. We love working with practitioners, right? Not people that haven't done something for 15, 20 years, but we like people that are actually out there doing this stuff in school systems right now. And so the Complete EdTech Coach, congratulations to both of you. This is your book birthday. We're super excited for you. We can't wait for you to get it into your hands and so you can see it, feel it, touch it, and all that. That's always a big moment. And so hopefully that's going to happen soon for you. And we just want to thank you so much for publishing with us and for joining us on the Facebook Live tonight.
Thank you so much.
Honored to be here. Honored to be on the team.
Yep, you bet. Thank you, everyone, for joining over in the chat box. And we'll let this stay open for a little while and let some more comments roll in to give more people an opportunity to possibly win. And again, happy book birthday to the Complete EdTech Coach, and want to wish everybody a good night.
Thank you.